Soul to Soul. We are a weekly broadcast for dance teachers, studio owners, and those who have a passion for dance education. It is about celebrating the dance life, highlighting our common bond, and the chance to share both the triumphs and struggles within the field that we all love so much. Be sure to check out all our broadcasts at regold.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Another Friday night with Soul to Soul. We are a broadcast for dance teachers and studio owners, and we focus on our passion for the love and the art that we care about so much. For those of you who are new to our broadcast, you can check out our past broadcasts at regold.com, and you can learn more about the Regold Company there as well. We have seminars and conferences. Tonight, we're going to welcome all the way from Australia, Stacy Morgan. She'll be joining us. She is a successful dance studio owner. She is a leader of seminars, podcasts, and training for studio owners and entrepreneurs, especially women. And she's a strong woman leader that I am excited to have with us tonight. You'll be inspired, guaranteed. Next Friday, we won't be having a Soul to Soul. We will be back with you on March 5th. March 5th will be the next Soul to Soul. I will be doing a seminar next Friday night. In the comments, I'd love to hear where you're from. I'm pulling up my comments. I'm hoping we have some people from the other side of the world here, Stacy Morgan fans that will be joining us. We got Las Vegas here. Welcome, Marissa. Oh, let me know where you guys are from. So as you know, Canada, I start this broadcast off with what's on my mind. And I am hearing a lot of talk about people getting back to dance competition. And I'm thinking that's what's on my mind. I'm hoping when it comes to the dance competition scene as we enter it, based on the year that we've been through, that we just be grateful to perform. I would like to read this to you. It's called In Good Company. Not only is it a message for teachers, but it's a little American history as well. It's called In Good Company. Although I discourage using the word lose, it's the best way to make my point. Some of the smartest and brightest people got that way from losing many of their battles. We learn from the losing process, or not by getting what we want. That's a truth. It's how we improve ourselves. When we don't win or achieve the desired results, we go back to work, ultimately becoming better at what we do. If you or me, we feel bad about losing sometime, remember these events, all the truth. This is about Abraham Lincoln. One of my heroes, by the way. He failed in business 1831. He was defeated for state legislature 1832. He tried another business in 33 and it failed. His fiancée died in 35. He had a nervous breakdown in 36. In 1843, he ran for Congress and was defeated. He ran again in 48 and was defeated again. He tried running for Senate in 55. He lost. The next year, he ran for vice president and lost. In 59, he ran for Senate again and was defeated. In 1860, the man who signed his name Abraham Lincoln was elected the 16th president of the United States. So this man that everybody, including me, looks to as, to me, he's a hero, didn't have it easy, was not a winner all the time, probably never expected that he'd become the hero in history that he became. So let's talk about dance competitions and maybe not winning all the time. When we go out to a dance competition without walking out the big winner, do we try to come up with excuses? Maybe we tell ourselves and our students that the reason we didn't do so well was because the competition was fixed, or that the judges didn't know what they were doing. Maybe we say that school knew the judges, that's why they did so well, and we didn't. Working in our mind to figure out what we're going to say. Another one of those excuses. That school spent so much money in entry fees, the director of the competition told the judges to score them high. In reality, if you think about that, our dance community is so small. Imagine someone coming to me as a judge and saying, this school spent that much money, so you have to make them the winner. I would be out of my seat in 2 seconds, and the reputation of that competition wouldn't be good. So I'm telling you that that wouldn't be a great excuse. On the other hand, if we're always the big winner, how would we get better at what we do? Teachers and students are exposed to stronger teachers and students who are exposed to stronger talent or choreography are really being given the opportunity to see how far they can go. Going home from the competition without a trophy, but excited to make yourself and your students better is really getting the most experience or the best experience for your entry fees. We can't allow ourselves to cultivate a generation of young people who believe dance is about competing or winning. Whole generation. I've encountered parents who have completely lost their cool because of the results of a competition. And I've had teachers who were my lifelong friends refuse to speak to me or yell at me after a competition because their students didn't score as well as they hoped. They're not thinking about the values we emphasize in educating dancers, things like courage, perseverance, or passion. They're thinking only about the accolades. So you're listening, you're going, what can we do about it? It's simple. I wrote it. Simple. Lighten up. Dance is a performing art. It isn't one team scoring more points than another. It's subjective. It's artistic. Technical qualities are subject to interpretation by the judges, who, remember, are using their own judgment, who happen to be human beings with their own whims, preferences, and emotions. That's my thought. That's on my mind tonight. But I'm going to add to it. How grateful could we all be and our dancers be just to have the opportunity to perform? In about 2 weeks, maybe 3, we'll have been in this pandemic situation for a year. Our dancers are striving just to get out there on stage and share their passion. If we, as the adults, the leaders who influence them, let them know that that's all that this is about. Let them know how proud we are of them for having stuck it out, continue to dance, continue to stay focused on our art form that is so cool, that has helped them rejuvenate their spirit, better souls because they dance, getting lost in the music and the movement. Our kids are winners before they walk in the door of an event. Let us all be grateful for that. I'd love to hear your opinions on my mind. And before we bring in Miss Stacy, I would like to tell you about this new program we have going on at the Regold Company. We have been doing these 4-week seminars. They are available live or on demand. And we have 2 of them coming up that I want to share with you. One of them is with Julie Kay, and it's called Dance Teacher Roadmap. It begins February 23rd. It's an opportunity to prioritize, practice, refine, and reflect as an educator. As plans evolve, so will your roadmap. Julie Kay is a master at what she does. I hope you'll consider joining us for that seminar. And we have another one. That one, by the way, begins February 23rd, 11 a.m., available live or on demand. And coming up also is Teaching the Early Years with Andrea Trench. This is for your early childhood students, preschool. From warm up to stage, we'll be diving into the best practices for teaching the early years. The series will guide teachers through an entire preschool class framework. You will learn about brain and body connection in early childhood classroom management procedures, class activities, choreography, and more. How cool is that? These seminars have been so well attended. We just finished Acro Islands in Zoom. There were more than 140 people registered for the seminar. During this time is the perfect time to continue our education. So check out those courses at regold.com/courses. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to welcome Stacy Morgan. How are you, my friend?
I'm fabulous, Ree. How are you?
I am excellent. I know that you are coming to us live from Australia. First, tell us what day it is.
It's Saturday lunchtime here, and I'm actually on vacation. So I'm got my own makeshift studio here. So if you lose me at any point because of the holiday Wi-Fi, I'll jump straight back on. I've got my half a headphone and the dining table on the bed and the gorgeous backdrop, and I'm doing my best to make it fabulous for you.
You should know that a couple of weeks ago, was on a live broadcast, and Julie Kay went out twice. That would have normally panicked me, but I have learned to stay calm, and we'll figure it out. But I'm so happy to have you. Thanks for making the time. And I'm thinking we might have some Australian friends here. Let's see who we have. Julie Kay Stalcup tells you, I love you, sister. Tammy is here. June is here.
Yay! The gang's all here.
From all over the country, my friend. Here to hear you and be with you. So, Miss Stacy, tell me, how has this pandemic affected the dance studio field in Australia? Does it compare to what we're dealing with here? What do you think in that area?
I think nothing compares to what you guys are going through, and my heart goes out to all of the dance teachers and dance studio owners, on your side of the world, because really from over here, whilst we have had our own challenges and our own struggles, in comparison to what you guys are going through, our experience has been quite mild. You will know that on March 13th, I was actually on a plane flying from here to be with you, Ree, to host a seminar at the retreat centre as part of the Gold Alliance. And literally the whole world changed whilst I was, in the air sipping champagne and watching movies. And when I touched down, of course, I was, I had to turn around straight away and come back to a very different reality. But here in Australia, we, for the first little part at least, we were a little bit behind you. So I came back and then I did my own self-imposed quarantine because obviously I'd been overseas and there were no rules and regulations at that time. But I was like, I'm actually not going to go back out into the community because, of course, I'd told everyone in the world that I was flying to America to present for Red Gold, and so everybody knew where I had been. So I was not going to be the
so everybody watching. So everybody watching knows this was you flying here and arriving on the 12th and going home on the 13th. That's how fast it was. Boom.
Terry picked me up from the airport. We had a fabulous chicken salad. She took me back to the airport and I flew back home. So I did fly all the way to Boston for a chicken salad. And little did I know it would be the last time I would get on an international flight for a really long time, because once I got home, of course, everything was going crazy in your country. And then, shortly followed by everything kind of shutting down in Australia as well. And we shut down for a certain period of time, and each of our states all have different regulations and different rules around border control and what you can do and when you can do it. And so it's been, it's been touch and go for that 11-month period. But in terms of where I live, I'm really lucky. I live in Paradise, Port Macquarie, which is 4 hours north of Sydney. And whilst it was quite full on in Sydney, we got off quite easy in Port Macquarie. So we were able to resume classes after about 11 weeks. And whilst we had restrictions on how they could come into the studio and how many kids we could have in the studio, sanitization and masks and things like that, we've pretty much been able to conduct classes as usual from that period onwards. We had our end of year performances as normal. We put on a musical whilst Broadway was shut down and London's West End wasn't doing anything. Little old Port Macquarie put on Bring It On, the musical, at the Glasshouse Theatre, which we were super proud of under very strict COVID conditions. And we've just been, doing what you guys are doing, in that every time a new challenge comes, you kind of, you bat it away and you wait for the next one, and then you regroup and you go again. So it's been not without its challenges, but I absolutely cannot complain on this side of the world because we've really had it easy.
So are you looking at, I know you and I work together with a bunch of U.S. teachers. Are you looking, how do you see the American teachers? Do you see them as survivors? What's your impression of our
superheroes? Honestly, watching the way everybody has been pivoting and adapting and, being able to present what they do and what they love and still pass on that passion for dance in all different forms and all ever-changing forms, has been incredibly inspiring for me to watch from this side of the world. And I'm in a position where, I'm lucky to be a mentor as part of the Gold Alliance. I'm mentoring dance studio owners, and there's just been some times where I've just had a real nothing but respect for what you guys are going through and what some of you are doing. And, people are looking to me for advice, and I'm just like, you've got this. You've been inspiring me. Little did you know that in the incredible work that you've been doing, I've just been in awe of how you have continued to put your students and your families first, but still looking after yourselves and looking after your own mental health and your own self-care so that you can be the leader you need to be in that role as a dance studio owner. And it's just been, that's been like a little silver lining for me in terms of, yes, it has been awful, but watching people's resilience and watching people get up off the dirt and dust themselves off and keep pushing and keep going and continuing to serve their communities has been completely inspiring.
I have to agree with you. I am proud of our, I'm going to call, I was going to say American dance community, but I'm going to call it the North American dance community because the Canadian group is dealing with even stronger restrictions than our US groups, and everybody hanging in there and believing in dance and believing in bringing it to kids, even when we have lost 50% of our enrollment, which Stacy, because we're both mentoring teachers a year ago, if we had said to anybody, you'll be operating next year with 50% of your enrollment and you'll make it, they would have thought we were nuts.
Can you imagine? But it's a testament to the resilience and the hard work, just the brute hard work that everyone's been putting in.
That's because this dance thing is something that is in our blood. It's so strong. We're going to fight really hard before we let it go. That's for sure. Okay,
Absolutely.
So I did a little of my own research on you, Stacy. You're a mom of 3. How old are your kids?
Oh, you might see them. They might make an appearance any moment now. Henry just turned 3 on Tuesday. He's my youngest. Patrick is my heart, walking around on legs. He's 5. And Lucinda is my superstar. She's 7.
Okay. Tell me, as a mom of 3, and these are young kids, you're this entrepreneur woman that I actually have to say I admire. I thought I was a busy person. I've said this to you before. You're 10 times more busy. You're 10 times more into projects. How do you balance the mom, I'll call it momhood, with this drive and passion that you have in your businesses?
I talk about my business in terms of Port Macquarie Performing Arts, my dance studio being my first baby. And little did I know the similarities between running a dance studio and nurturing a dance studio and nurturing my family. And that's why I love working with entrepreneurs who are mums now, because I feel like in those early days, both in my business and in my family, I made a lot of mistakes and I did a lot of things that I could have done better. And now I feel like it's my chance to serve and to be able to pass on all of these mistakes that I've made and go, you know what, try this. I wish I knew this when I started out, or this is how I would approach that situation. But I'm not a big fan of the word balance, Ray. It's not. It's balance gives the impression that things should be equal. And in entrepreneurship and running your own business and being a mum, things are never equal. And if you are aiming for them to be equal all the time, you're going to be disappointed. And so I like the term blend better instead, blending those two things together, because sometimes you'll have a really studio intensive day. You'll have a performance coming up, you'll have rehearsals, you'll have parents at you, you'll have things that need to be done, and spending or wasting time and energy worrying about not being balanced in terms of I'm spending too much time at the studio and not enough time being a mum. That's wasted energy and it's not going to help anyone. So it's about finding a blend between the two, knowing that you will have studio heavy intensive times and making sure then you schedule family intensive times as well. And I'm on vacation at the moment, so I've been doing lots of family intensive in this time, knowing that, when I go back to the studio, there are going to be times where I'm going to have to focus on that. So finding that blend between one and the other and making sure that that you don't beat yourself up about the time you're not spending in different places. When I first had Lucinda, I would be with her and I'd be feeling guilty that I wasn't at the studio, supporting my team. And then I would be at the studio and I'd be feeling guilty that I wasn't with Lucinda. But it's really about finding a blend and cutting yourself some slack, giving yourself some grace, knowing that everyone in the end, if you blend it well, everyone will get what they need from you, and really being, hyper focused about the time that you are spending. When you're at the studio, you are at the studio. You are focused on the kids in front of you. You are working hard on the curriculum. You are supporting your team. And then when you're at home on the floor playing Lego, you are at home on the floor building that tower with all of your energy and focus.
I love it. Somebody just said it in our comments, Debbie Lamontagne. I love the word blend. I think that we've done a lot of seminars, we've done a lot of talks on the balance, but your point on blending is well taken. It can't be an even balance. You can't predict that your life is going to go that way.
No, and you'll only be disappointed when it doesn't, because it's unrealistic to think that it will. So scheduling time is also really important. So blocking out big chunks of time that you can have so that you can really fill up your cup. Either that's filling yourself up when it comes to being in the studio and being creative and being inspired, or filling it up in terms of, you're having lots of story time and you're taking the kids for a ride on their bikes and, doing all of those things, so that because I find, I don't know about you, Ree, but if it's not in my diary, if I haven't scheduled it in, it just doesn't happen. And I end up finding time, scrolling on Instagram or on Clubhouse, now that I'm obsessed with Clubhouse. So it's important to schedule those times.
For those listening, your diary in the States is your date book.
Yes. When Ree and I first started working together, I would say diary all the time. And he was one day just pulled me up and said, "Are you talking about like Dear Diary, like that you write in at night? Like, I'm really confused."
Dear Diary, I love so-and-so, I missed them. That's where diary goes in my head.
Yeah, my calendar.
I now want to follow up with something that you said. What were one or two of those mistakes that you talked about that now should be different, or that you'd express to people in business or with families? Go.
How long do we have? Is this a 15-hour presentation? Okay, so the one that first came to mind straight away. When I was first a studio owner, I had an expectation on myself, and I make that very clear because I don't actually think that there was an expectation from my community, but from myself, that I would be available at all times. That serving my students in the studio meant that I would sacrifice myself, and I would sacrifice my family, and I would sacrifice anything else that I had going on in order to serve that dance community. And what I have learned is that there is a time and place for everything, and that me being accessible 100% of the time not only doesn't serve my community well, but it really doesn't serve me. And the kind of person that I become when I'm being pulled in 15 different directions, and I have no energy and I have no blend, and I don't have that what I'm looking for in that blend of balance between things. I'm not a fun person to be around. So if I had my time again, I would be very clear with my boundaries from the get-go. So this is Miss Stacy's phone number, and Miss Stacy's phone gets turned off at this time. Miss Stacy doesn't answer text messages at 10 o'clock at night about why little Susie isn't in the front row. Miss Stacy isn't available on a Sunday. Miss Stacy's at the beach with her family on a Sunday. Do not call me and ask what you should be entering, your child in the local talent quest, what solo she should be doing. That's not a conversation I'm having then. But in the early days it was, because of course, if anyone needed me, I was always there. And it was even kind of, for me, like, it's all ego. And it was part of a selling point for me. Like, I'll be your best friend. I'll do everything that you need. I'm here for you and your child 100% of the time. And that just doesn't work. And it doesn't work if you want to continue to have a really professional relationship with your clients. So that is a big lesson that I've learned. And kind of tacking on to that, and I did say, how much time have you got, Ree? But I just want to tack on to that when I fell pregnant with Lucinda, and we were really excited to start our family, I, for some reason, again, had an unrealistic expectation that everyone would expect that I would not drop the ball at all, in that my dedication to the studio would be still at like the 100% that it always had been. And what I didn't realize was that my clientele were mums. And so they, more than anyone else, understood what it takes to have a small child and to raise a small child and to nurture your family. And I wish if I had my time again, I would think more about, leveraging that parents know that, some days I'm not going to be able to teach that class because the baby's sick, and know that I'm not going to be able to attend that competition because, it's my 2-year-old's birthday party, things like that I just went, well, no, of course I have to do this and I have to do that because the people at the studio are expecting me to. I think I was expecting me to a bit more. And so those boundaries were really unclear. So if I had my time again, I would cut myself some slack, which is, what I preach now, and give myself a little bit of grace and go, actually, I am, yes, fully dedicated to your child when I'm standing in front of them in the studio and they have my full love and attention during that time. And when I step out of the studio, that love and attention is still there for your child, but my focus may be somewhere else, and that's okay. And if that's not something that you're okay with as a student and a family of my dance studio, then this is not the place for you. And as much as I love your child and as much as you're an important part of our community, here's a list of other schools that I think would be more suitable for you. And I'm more than happy to phone those principals and let them know that you're coming and how wonderful your child is, and bye-bye.
I love what you just said. I wish that more teachers and studio owners would grasp it. What do you say to those that may be in the middle of that stage you realized was the wrong stage, that they've gone about it where they believe that personal connection, and sure, give me a call if you have any questions, was the right way to go? Because I get that. And then you do obviously as well. What advice do you give to a studio owner or a teacher who now says, what did I do? How do you turn it around?
I think that for me, it was little steps and little pushes of the boundary a little bit further away from me. So my boundaries used to be very close to me and people could get at me at any point. They could come and ask a question whenever, they could call me whenever. And it was about baby stepping those boundaries back a little bit. So, the first thing was I got a personal phone number that was different to my studio phone number, so that if people felt like they needed to text me or phone me, they still could, but that I wouldn't look at that phone when I wasn't in work hours. And then the next little boundary was communication. So communicating really clearly to our dance community and saying, we love you, we love your children, you're a valued member of our community, but our office is closed on Sundays, so please don't expect an email return. And then we push it back a little further. Well, actually, our office is closed until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then it's just about those little pushes back. And I actually, I'm doing this in front of me right now because actually that actually helps me read when and it sounds silly, but I'm a dancer, so I'm movement focused. But if someone's coming at me, I actually need to do this either mentally or physically and just go, actually, I'm not going to reply to that, or I'm not going to call that person back because it's not this time. So I would think clearly about, and none of this needs to be done in a nasty way. Like, you don't just turn up at the studio one day and close the door and say, no one can talk to me until 3 o'clock. But it's about, okay, what's the first step I'm going to do? What's the second step? And mapping yourself out. Okay, I'd like to do this and I'd like to have that implemented by April. And then the next thing I'm going to do is, start communicating more clearly. And I'm going to do that by March. And a great thing that I just, solved a lot of problems in my studio as I was pushing those boundaries back was what we called Miss Stacy's Why series. And that was me going live on just on Facebook every Monday and talking about, kind of like you're on my mind, Ree, like talking about what's going on, what's the chatter about in the studio this week, and what fires can I put out by having these conversations and, addressing this situation right now live on Facebook to all of our community and being able to say, this is where we're at and this is what we're doing. So people, because of that communication, people felt like they were part of the change that was happening and part of all of that, and they understood it. And now I'm 5 or 6 years in, and I don't have to go live on Facebook all the time to explain why I'm not answering my phone. It's part of our culture. But that didn't happen overnight. That happened with a lot of communication and a lot of education. I think it's, as dance studio owners, sometimes we forget that we're not just educating the children, we're also educating the families. We're educating them on what it means to be a dance family, what it means for your child to do dance, what they're actually going to be learning. For so long, Rhea, I just assumed that people understood that put your child in dance and yes, they're going to learn to dance, but yes, they're going to be confident. Yes, they're going to be resilient. Yes, they're going to make good friends, like all of those things. One day I kind of just suddenly woke up and went, oh, I know that, but I don't think anyone else knows that. And so I started to use that in our communication as well. We have a really, we have a really important role to play in our wider community as well as our dance community. And as part of that leadership, we, need to be able to step up and let people know exactly how it is and how it will be. And if you're not okay with that, then we need to be okay with them walking out the door.
Okay. So the majority of my viewers are women, and you are an entrepreneur who focuses on women's success. Talk to them about being an entrepreneur who's able to do what you just said, to believe that they deserve to take that time off, is the best way to say it, and categorize their lives and be able to go back to their clientele and say, this is really the way it is. Doesn't mean I don't love your child as much as I did last year.
Yep.
This is the way it is. How do you gain that confidence, Stacy?
Well, without sounding silly, I've had to do a lot of work on myself in order to be able to be that confident to say those things. And I think there's a difference between confidence and self-love. I think I've always been confident. I've always been Miss Stacy, at the door, teaching the dance students, standing on stage, presenting the awards, all of the things. But what I needed in order to make those decisions and to be able to push those boundaries back is I needed to be able to love myself and to be able to work on myself and to realize, where I fell down in terms of my own personal development. And in doing that work has enabled that confidence not just to be an outward thing, but also to be an inward thing.
How do you get the confidence to do the work? Meaning facing where you may have work to do. How do we get there? I know I'm asking you tough questions, but
well, I think working on yourself is part of self-care. And I think there is especially for women, and Glennon Doyle talks a lot about this in Untamed. If you haven't read Untamed as a woman or as a dance studio owner, especially, or someone who runs their own business, immediately get on Amazon whilst I'm talking, please, and purchase that and get it to your house. She talks a lot about martyrdom and how, as women, we are expected from society or from others or even from ourselves to be selfless, and that is like a badge of honor that we wear. We're so selfless. Look at her; she's so selfless. She baked all those cookies for the children at school, and she was there till 10 o'clock at night laying the tarquette on the floor for the students to dance tomorrow. She's so selfless. But actually, when you think about the word selfless and you think about that concept, that's not good. That's not a good thing to want to wear as a badge of honor, because what we want to teach our girls, and I see this in the lessons I try and teach Lucinda, is that ourselves are really important, and knowing ourselves and loving ourselves is actually how we can serve others. So the personal development in terms of finding time to do it or giving yourself permission to do it, it's actually self-care. And you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are not full, There is no way that you will serve your students to your best ability in the dance studio. There is no way you will serve your dance parents and your dance community unless you put in the time in your diary, in your calendar, to put in the time to actually schedule stuff for you to fill yourself up, to learn and grow yourself, to improve on the areas that, and I've done a lot of work like that. There's a lot of work to do. And the more work you do, the more self-love you have, then the more love you can give and the better you can serve. And at the end of the day, as dance studio owners and dance teachers, we're in service. That's what we're doing all the time. But if you're going to be selfless all the time, it's really hard to serve. So my advice to any of you who don't make enough time for self-care, and self-care doesn't have to be you're booking a facial or you're going for a massage. It can be you're painting your toenails. It can be you're sitting down to read a book. It can be that you're listening to a podcast. Whatever that is for you, that filling up time, it has to be scheduled in and it has to be done, because otherwise we get to a point where we're in burnout and we're not helpful for anybody in that moment. And if you find yourself, and I still doing things, for my own ego and going, I'm so selfless. I'm doing that event that I don't really want to do, but I'm doing it because that's me. I have to come back to this and go, actually, if I don't spend that time filling myself up, I actually can't be of service to everybody. So be brave, schedule it in, get it done, and communicate it to your family and say, this is why this is important to me. Tell your staff, tell your team, this is why this is important to me.
Whoa, I'd love to hear what our listeners have to say about, or their response to what you just said. Stacy, you have obviously learned by what you just said, like the ability to say no. So I'm a dance teacher and somebody's asking me to do something that's definitely going to take some time for me to do. But I feel like, if I say no, they're going to think I'm not a giving person. How do I get over that?
You've just made it about yourself. When actually it should be about them, and it should be about their event and their thing. But you're turning it around going, what will they think of me? That's about you. When actually it should be about them. So serving somebody when you don't really have the resources or have the time or have the energy, it's not going to help anybody. Because if you say no to something like that, that gives them the opportunity to go and find someone who will actually be perfect and who will actually be able to do a better job than you. But I think sometimes we think, we have fear of missing out. Every time an opportunity knocks, we have to grab it because, otherwise it might disappear. Sometimes it's okay to put yourself first and let those opportunities disappear. And again, you don't have to be nasty about it. You're not going to say, no, I'm not doing that. You're going to say, wow, this is an incredible event. This is an incredible opportunity. Unfortunately, I just don't have time, energy, money, resources at this time to do it, but I wish you all the best. And, get in touch with me if ever you have anything like this again. It doesn't have to be, and you don't know what their reaction is. You thinking that their reaction is going to be, oh my gosh, she's letting me down. Like she's not going to do it. That's your reaction. That's not, they might go, okay, no worries. Well, I had someone else in mind anyway. But often we get so in our head about it. And so like, what will they think of us? But it shouldn't matter what they will think of you. It should matter whether or not you're serving you, because the more that you fill yourself up, the more you're going to be able to do good in the world.
Bada boom. That was awesome. I mean it. So give me some ways, or share with our viewers how you balance, and balance isn't the right word, but marriage, motherhood, making it in business. How do you, or what can you share with us to say that I want to to be fulfilled with those parts of our lives. What's your advice?
Well, that's the name of my book, Ree. So thank you for bringing it up. I'm
Yeah.
writing a book currently, Motherhood, Marriage, and Making It in Business. It's not done yet. It's only its first draft, but I'm still working on it because I'm actually working on those things in real life. Like it's not a done project. I can't go tick, my marriage is great, tick, motherhood, excellent, tick, business, killing it, done, next. They're all a work in progress. And it's, I guess it comes back to what we were talking about before, Ree. It's about doing the best with what you have and then making sure that you are filling yourself up in order to be able to do those things really well. So I know that I am not a very nice wife and not a very nice mum when I haven't had some time to myself, or when I feel like my business is floundering, especially if I have been spending too much time doing things other than working with my team or working on my business or coming up with choreography. I'm not a really nice mum and I'm not a really nice wife. So I need to be able to spend time in each of those areas and focus on each of those areas. And that comes with practice. And sometimes I get it right and sometimes I really don't get it right at all. And it's always learning and it's always a process. But I find that the more personal development I do, the more my business grows. The more personal development I do, the more I can give and be of service and give love in my marriage. The more I am feeling good about myself and where I'm at, the better mum that I am. I'm less snappy. I'm less, put your shoes on, get over there, like, let's go, like all of that kind of motherhood stuff that used to get me in a whirlwind and used to really overwhelm me. The more professional development you do, the more you kind of excel in all of those areas. And COVID has been a perfect time for that because we have been so isolated. There are more online courses available now than ever before. There are more ways to Zoom and talk with somebody else and to work through those things than ever before, where you used to have to travel to another country or travel to another city or travel 10 minutes down the road at least and get yourself done up and put in the car and all like we're in a world where it's normalized now to be able to do this. And so you have the opportunity to be able to do the work and to read more and to listen more and to really infuse that as part of your life. And I'm not saying drop your business and drop your marriage and drop motherhood and just, go into a big study session and get stuck in, but finding ways to put that into your lifestyle so that it's always growing and always evolving is really important.
As we say here, wicked good advice.
I know that that's the best compliment I can get from you, Ree. So if you've said it's wicked good, then I'm on a good thing.
I also got a more normal way to say it here, right on target. We've had a lot of interaction tonight. I think you've inspired our viewers, Miss Stacy.
Oh, well, that's good. I can't see the comments, Ree, but if they're all coming in with fabulous things to say, then, thank you, everybody. That's cool. That's wicked cool.
That's wicked cool. And I'd like to get everybody across the US to start using the word wicked and be responsible for that. So if you want to wake up tomorrow morning and tell people how wicked awesome this show was or how wicked awesome your day is going, that will help. I think I've sent it to Australia as well.
I've definitely been using it, and I giggle to myself because no one knows what I'm talking about, but I know that you'd be impressed.
So we have a bunch of comments. So great to see you in person. I always just hear your voice on the podcast. So that's something we didn't bring up. Stacy and I have a series of podcasts that are available at regal.com as well as iTunes and where is the other place? I always forget.
Spotify. Spotify are doing big things in terms of podcasting currently. So if you're not listening to your podcasts on Spotify, I highly recommend it. They've got a couple of podcasts that are just primarily like that Spotify are owning and producing, and they're really, really good. Brene Brown has moved to Spotify. I mean, you and I were there all along.
Yeah.
See? Spotify. Other people have come now. Michelle Obama's on Spotify.
Do you think they followed us over there, Stacy? Brene Brown probably said,
yes.
me and Stacy are there. Let's go.
I'm going to make that assumption. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, they're now on Spotify too.
Okay, so check us out on Spotify. Will you stay with me for a second, Stace?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Hang on. Couple of announcements as we close out our show. We will be taking a break next week, but back with you on January 5th. And the following week will be the 12th, and we're going to do some sort of a 1 year, I don't want to call it anniversary, but 1 year we will have been in this pandemic, which would have been on the 13th. So we're going to do a special show on that night. If you'd like to,
everyone needs to bring a chicken salad, Ray.
Okay, everybody can bring
the anniversary with a chicken salad. It won't be as good as Terry's, but bring your own.
Okay. Miss Terry was on earlier. I hope she knows we're raving about her chicken salad. See, there you go. It isn't always about her success in business. Terry has also the ability to make an awesome chicken salad. That's what you call diversity. Past episodes of Soul to Soul available at regal.com. And Stacy, as we close out, I never asked you, first of all, did you have a quote or something that you wanted to share as we close out?
Well, that's what I was going to say, Ray. I did all this hard work preparing and you didn't ask me for my quote. But actually, the truth is I didn't find a quote. I found 4,000 quotes that I would like, and I really couldn't choose one that I wanted to settle on. So I instead chose 2 words that have been really showed up this year. And they are 2 words that, you know, as a business owner, as a dance studio owner, and also as a mum and just as a person, they have been so important for me in my journey. The first one is brutiful. Have you heard of brutiful before, Ree?
No, I'm so glad you brought it up because I'm always willing to learn. Brutiful.
It's a fusion of brutal and beautiful. And for me, that's what motherhood is. It's brutal so much of the time, but it's also beautiful. And that happens at the same time. That happens together, these moments. And I think running your own dance studio is the same. You have these moments of beauty and these moments of passion and these moments of, you know, you love what you do. And then you have these other moments that are brutal. And so that dance studio ownership for me, and this year in particular, has been really brutal. There have been things that there have been silver linings that have come out of it that I've gone, oh, well, I normally wouldn't have had that time.
Ooh, I lost you.
And there have been other times.
I think I might have lost you. Yeah, I have. I know you. I can't hear you, but obviously you can hear me. Okay, brutiful is being commented on. I wish we could hear your final words, but we can't. This is what live programming. No, I can't hear you. Let me see. Hang on. Can't unmute your guest. Their mic isn't connected, is what it says.
What about now?
Oh, there you go. Finish out this brutiful because you were getting such a great response.
Well, it's just that it's the perfect fusion of those 2 things. And this year there have been some really tough times, but there have also been some silver linings. So brutiful was word number 1 that I was going to bring to you instead of a quote. And word number 2 was going to be flirnings. And I learnt flirting from the fabulous Jane Gretsch, who is a leadership coach and a dance studio owner and is just incredibly inspiring. And that's a mixture of failure and learning. because, you know, like I talked about in the beginning, when I first started my dance studio and first had Lucinda, there were so many learnings, things that were failures, but things that in hindsight, when I look back, were really good learnings. So those learnings are going to happen throughout your dance studio ownership journey. Don't necessarily look at them as just a failure or just a learning. Know that they're learnings, know that they happen, know that you can learn from them and improve, and put all of that into your beautiful life. And I wish you all the love and joy in the world.
That was great. We learned 2 new words tonight, and 2 new words with a lot of meaning. Flirting. All of you take that with you. And beautiful. Those are Australian words, if anybody asks you.
You've all learnt some Australian. I can also tell you what g'day, mate, means if you like.
Hey, funny. We have to do this again sometime, Miss Stacy. Thank you so much. Thank you for this time zone difference. Thank you for making the time to be with us. I know this is your vacation. For those of you who are wondering how she could be on vacation in the middle of the year, this is Australia's summer. And their season is just sort of flipped opposite of what we do, is how I've come to the conclusion or understanding of. And I want you to enjoy your vacation. All of us are a little jealous, but we're excited for you.
Thank you, Ree. It's been an honor to talk to you. And as always, I love working with you, and I love working with dance studio owners and women in business. It's a really special thing that we do. And sometimes I think we forget that. So if you're out there in the trenches working hard, know that you're doing good. Know that we've got your back, and you can reach out to me at any time. I'm on Instagram at Simply Stacy Morgan or simplystacymorgan.com.
Simplystacymorgan.com. Check it out. Thank you, Miss Stacy. I want to bring you back again sometime. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you in 2 weeks on March 5th. Have a great day, everybody.